Greetings, brothers and sisters. Tonight is January 7th, 2025. This is our first officers training for the new year. My name is Brother John Hargrove. I serve as president for Division 421 of the UNIA-ACL, Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League, founded by Right Excellent Marcus Messiah Garvey. So tonight is the session 11. We're approaching the halfway point. So next week we will officially kind of go over the halfway hump. And from that point on, we'll be, on the second half of the text, closing out the book in the subsequent months. Tonight we're focusing on questions from lesson 9, titled Diplomacy. And we'll be reading lesson 11, titled Economy. We'll do pledge, oath, and then if there's any questions on either, lesson 9 before we get into the quiz questions, we'll have that opportunity. So let's go to our pledge. I'll lead us tonight. I don't see my brothers, vice presidents, so I'll take the leadership for the pledge for tonight. Sisters, call on you subsequent weeks again as well. If everyone would, please come off mute, put your black fist in the air, and repeat after me. I'll say the phrases. I'll break it up a little bit different, but just repeat after me, same words. I commit my body, mind, and spirit to the protection, defense, and security of the red, black, and green.
I commit my body, mind, and spirit to the protection, defense, and security of the red, black, and green.
I dedicate my life to the redemption of Mother Africa and the liberation of her scattered black children.
I dedicate my life to the redemption of Mother Africa and the liberation of her scattered black children.
I accept for myself and my descendants the teachings of universal African nationalism.
I accept for myself and my descendants the teachings of universal African nationalism.
And I promise that our children will be instilled with the purpose and knowledge of themselves as African people.
And I promise that our children will be instilled with the purpose and knowledge of themselves as African people.
In order that the cause of our struggle will neither falter nor fail.
In order that the cause of our struggle will neither falter nor fail.
Until all Black people are free and united.
Until all Black people are free and united.
Through one God.
Through one God.
One aim.
One aim.
One destiny.
One destiny.
Race family.
Race first.
Sister Cecily, call on you to recite the oath, if you would. Sister Cecily, you have the floor.
Okay. Is this
Sorry, hold on, I just stopped. I think there's a typo in here I'm supposed to fix. So that screen sharing stopped. Let me check for this typo really quick. On purpose, then there it is. Sister Cecily, you have the floor.
I, Cecily, do solemnly swear before Almighty God that I have entered upon the instructions of the African School of Philosophy conducted by Marcus Garvey for no other purpose than to serve the Negro race through the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League, of which he is President General, and that I shall not use the knowledge so gained to promote or advance the interests of any other organization. I shall confine myself always to the service of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and work within the framework of the organization for any promotion I may desire for the improvement of my race. I shall never divulge or reveal any of these lessons I received to anyone and shall never allow the lessons or records thereof to fall into the hands of anyone and shall safeguard the same with my life from falling into the hands of other races. I shall always use all my energy and ability to advance the interest of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and shall never be in rebellion against it. And to this I swear myself, my honor, and sacred trust. And should I fail this oath, may the just reward be meted out to me, so help me God. Amen.
So mute. Thank you, Sister Cecily. Excellent job. Again, we should remember the name Eleanor White, one of the first 10 graduates of the School of African Philosophy taught by Mr. Garvey in 1937. In some versions of Message to the People, you'll find the oath to the School of African Philosophy accredited to, I guess it's the copy that Sister Eleanor White recited and preserved. So that's one of the reasons why we remember her name, other than her work as commissioner of the state of Illinois and obviously a graduate of the first class of School of African Philosophy.
Can I make a comment about that as well?
Go ahead, Brother President General.
Yes, sir. Yeah, she was definitely. Well, there's other copies other than hers that survived up in New York and other places.
Of the oath?
Yeah, the oath. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was one of the Schomburg. Actually, first time I saw it, I forgot the sister's name, but she was with the second class. But Eleanor White was definitely one of Mr. Garvey's greatest confidants. She's the one that also received a copy of the only book that he ever wrote, which was A Town Next to Hell. And she received a copy, or she was supposed to receive a copy, but never received it. He sent it to her to look at from England, and it never, made it. So shortly afterwards, he passed away, and that was all we ever heard of that book. So anyway, she was pretty popular. She was a local politician in Robbins, Illinois, but she was also had the distinct honor alongside Henrietta Vinton Davis of being the only or the second woman to actually lead a branch of the UNIA as President General. She had formed along with Charles L. James, and who was one of the students, alongside Nathaniel Grissom, another one of the first students. They had formed the UNIA 1949 of the world, and she served as President General along with those two being the assistant President Generals back in '49. It didn't last long, but it did last close to a year anyway before they wound up merging with the UNIA Rehabilitating Committee under Thomas W. Harvey, and then they eventually, formed the UNIA in 1951, which is separate from the Stewart administration, but that's another long history. But just wanted to point out that, Eleanor White was definitely a giant in UNIA history. Has a giant legacy and some serious shoes that need filling.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. One of those sisters, as Brother Moyman said, Sister Giants, that we must remember, honor, and show respect for the work and try to duplicate the legacy that she left. So, thank you for that history, Brother Moyman. I gotta step out. Cut the light on my porch real quick. Sorry. Okay. Any questions on lesson 9, diplomacy? Before we get into obviously the questions for tonight. No questions on diplomacy or anything that we've gone over thus far. Okay. All right. Well, okay. Let's get straight to it. 19 after 8. First question, what is diplomacy? And obviously all of these questions are from Mr. Garvey's perspective as documented and message to the people. So what is diplomacy? Dr. Kuda is on standby and Dr. Kuda is doing double duty. Anyone else? What is diplomacy? First question, we stumbled.
No, I got it.
Brother Art, what you got? Thank you.
Diplomacy is the relationship that nations use to conduct their communications or approach in dealing with matters of state and to affect the relationship of certain nature between them.
Excellent. Excellent. Yes, as Brother Art said, as the text said, we're used to describe the peculiar relationship between nations. I think that's the shortest way I've been able to memorize that definition is that first sentence. As Mr. Garvey says, a word used to express the peculiar relationship between nations. It's a relationship that nations use to conduct their communications or approach in dealing with matters of state. The thoughtful and careful consideration of words and ideas expressed. Relationship between nations is one of the big points that we've stressed over the years. As I briefly mentioned at the end of the reading last week, I personally believe diplomacy, in my experience, has been one of the more misused lessons of Mr. Garvey. And as we see in the very definition of diplomacy, we're talking about a relationship between nations. Again, when individuals utilize these tactics or try to utilize these tactics within our organization or nation, I think that we're misusing the principles. These lessons are, again, for leadership when we're dealing with other nations, and that doesn't necessarily have to be a nation, but I would argue any other society. So whether that's the police, you know, those are usually one of the ones we have to get approval from. Trying to think. Even American politics. So, Democrats, Republicans, we don't choose a side, but we use diplomacy to get the best benefit and the best policies for our people. So diplomacy, that's question 1, very important foundation for this lesson. We're talking about the relationship between nations. What are 2 things that Garvey says that we must first be in order to be a diplomat? Dr. Kuda's on standby. Brother Art helped us with the first one. Who's got number 2 for us? What are 2 things that Garvey says that we, quote unquote, must first be in order to be a diplomat? I've got a guess. I think I remember. Anybody got a guess on what they would think Mr. Garvey would say we must be in order to be a diplomat?
A skillful thinker.
Skillful thinker. Is he also say a mental twister? Is that here? Or is that somewhere else?
Psychologist.
Psychologist. Ah, there we go. Very
Thinker.
thinker and psychologist to be a diplomat. These are Mr. Garvey's words. We can go to the text if there's any questions or requests for further clarification. But Mr. Garvey says that in order to be a diplomat, we must first be a skillful thinker and a psychologist. Questions, comments so far? We'll talk about that a little bit more in subsequent questions, but are we clear on what Mr. Garvey says in the text? I think we are. Next question. What must diplomats be able to do to safeguard and protect themselves and the interests they represent? I don't know. I'm stumbled on this one off the top of my head. I know it's something else that he talks about later in regards to not selling ourselves, but I don't think this is what he's talking about here. Anyway, Dr. Kuda, you got anything?
You must be able to read other people's minds and their intentions.
There we go. Read other people's minds and intentions. Questions or comments thus far? So we're talking about mental strategies, but again, as always, what's best for our people, and we're talking about representatives and speaking with other, heads of state or leaders of other organizations. But in order to be a diplomat, in order to be a good representative, Mr. Garvey says we must be a psychologist, skillful thinker, must be able to read other people's minds and intentions, and anticipate, their desires, their negotiating points, and balance that or counter that with what you know, or what you've come to know is best for your people or desires for your people. Okay. What must a diplomat, why must a diplomat always give expressions that carry double meanings? Diplomats. Why must a diplomat always give expressions that carry double meanings? Brother Art has helped us, Dr. Kuda, continuously ready with the answers. Anyone else? No, number 4. Why must a diplomat always give expressions that carry double meanings? What would be our guess there?
May I?
Brother Orman?
Yes, in case one idea is defeated, you always can go to the other idea.
Absolutely. If one expression is dangerous to the affecting good relationship, can say it was not intended that way. So this is a skill we will develop. And again, knowing when to use these skills. I see a lot of this, and I guess rightfully so in some instances within the organization. People saying things that are general can be interpreted two ways. One person interprets it one way, and then the person that explains it says, "Oh no, that's not the way I meant it. I meant for it to be interpreted this way." And that, is diplomacy. But I would say within the organization, let's be clear. We are leaders. I think it's in the book of The Art of War. It talks about if if you give an order that's unclear and your subordinates don't follow that order, that's not a fault of your subordinates. That's a fault of you as a leader for not giving clear instructions. But if you do give clear instructions and they don't follow, your subordinates don't follow through, then it is the fault of the subordinates because you gave clear instructions. So within the organization, we want to be clear, not give we don't have the luxury of misinterpretation at this point from an organizational standpoint. So for me to say, let's meet sometime on the week of Christmas, or the week of Martin Luther King. No, that's too specific. The week of I guess the week of Martin Luther King's birthday, that's not specific enough. So if everybody met on the Monday of his birthday, or if people met exactly on his birthday, when I met, maybe 2 days after his birthday, that's unclear. And we as an organization internally, we can't afford these miscommunications. So internally, I would argue we should be very clear with what it is that we desire. And then as diplomats, when we're working and negotiating with other nations, that's when we have to, turn on that skill of double speak. Any questions, comments so far? Okay. All right, next question, number 5. What should we feed our opponent in order to get good results? What does Mr. Garvey teach us that in the aspect of diplomacy? What should we teach? What should we feed our opponent in order to get good results?
I would say compliments.
Compliments. Yep, you're in the realm. More specifically, I think Mr. Garvey is a little more specific, but yes, you are in the realm.
Possibilities.
Actually, I mean, you're absolutely right, but Mr. Garvey uses a different way. He just says it differently. Anyone know how Mr. Garvey says it? I think he says it differently. I hope.
Good words that mean nothing.
There we go. That's what I was looking for. Good words that mean nothing. Win them with the perfect smile in the most gentle manner. So, as Brother Orman said, compliments or whatever. We can't be egotistical, as leaders, and we can't be too prideful as leaders, because again, it's not about us. So sometimes we will have to put on a smile, compliment individuals that we may hate. But again, it's all in the effort of diplomacy and making sure we are getting the best for our people as a whole. So we may have personal opinions on. I'll just throw the name. Trump is coming into office. We may have opinions, personal opinions, or personal beliefs about him as an individual. However, as leaders and representatives of the UNIA, we have to be careful to control those personal opinions and make sure they're not expressed if they are to the detriment of our people. So personally, I may have an opinion about a gentleman or a lady, but in regards to diplomacy, I have to put that aside. And I think that makes sense with everybody. Questions or comments? So it's not an excuse. Our personal opinions are not an excuse to not do what's best for the race and for the organization. Because we, have a personal opinion, personal relationship with someone, that does not affect, how we function as leaders. That's minor, that's petty. And it's not, it's not the focus. So. All right. But yeah, again, as diplomats, we have to put those emotions aside. What is said to turn away wrath? This is not just a Garvey thing. Garvey got this from somewhere else. It's fairly biblical, but what is said to turn away wrath?
A soft answer.
Soft answer? Is a soft answer?
I think.
You wouldn't be, it's not going to attract wrath.
Or a mild answer. Turneth away wrath.
It's another word I'm looking for other than mild.
Soft.
Other than soft.
Gentle.
Other than gentle.
Diplomatic. I'm just kidding.
Dr. Kuda?
A kind word.
Kind is the word I was looking for.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, these are semantics. Just because we don't say kind, but we're applying gentle or favoring demeanor. Long as we understand the sentiment, we don't have to be exactly duplicates of what Mr. Garvey said. So, Sister Diane, you're not wrong. But the word that Mr. Garvey uses is a kind word and a perfect smile. He also says in the text, but again, going beyond our personal opinions. You may hate someone, want to choke them out, but again, now we are leaders, we are representatives, we are able to be in the same space as these individuals, but that doesn't mean that we carry out our personal desires. We must still have a smile, kind words. We are representatives of the race. Okay. Mr. Garvey talked about what to do, or he gave a suggestion on if a man was going to kill you. He says, if a man is going to kill you by threatening you, what does Garvey say it is best to do? Same tone that we've discussed in the previous questions. But Mr. Garvey is laying out a behavior, a set of characteristics for us as not only leaders, but specifically as diplomats.
If I may.
Brother Orman.
He said, basically, don't give him a reason to do it, because if you act as if you're going to proceed or act before him, he will definitely do it. But that's roughly what I remember from what I read. Race first.
Yes, you are correct in one aspect of don't basically encourage them or give them a reason to carry out the deed. But there was something else that Mr. Garvey kind of recommended that may cause some to scratch their heads that Mr. Garvey said that we should do.
It is best to smile with him.
Absolutely. There we go. Smile with him. I believe to not suggest the indignation, I believe is the phrase that Mr. Garvey used, but to not as Brother Orman was saying, not express the gravity of the reality of a situation, and that may cause you to react in a way such that that person may feel threatened, and now Mr. Garvey said you would definitely be killed for sure because you've startled, threatened the person that's threatening you. So at the end of the day, we always want to give off kindness, a smile, and try to do our best to turn away wrath. But yeah, any questions or comments thus far? But yes, it's not about us. We went over lesson 5, entitled God, where we, get an opportunity to contemplate the reality of the next, of transition. So that's not something that should be a bargaining point of fear for us. If yeah. So that's another thing. That's something else that we should kind of come to grips with on another level. That's death. What does Garvey mean when he says, quote, we should never lose our head, and why? Why does he say that? What does Garvey mean when he says, quote, we should never lose our head? Again, we're talking diplomacy.
Because in doing so, you are bound to blunder and ultimately lose.
But what did he mean? What does he mean by we should never lose our head? Does he explain? It's got to be a. Let me see what I got for the answer. Let me compare that to what you gave us. I know you're right there.
Because you may need your calm and collective judgment to save
There it
your
is.
life.
There it is.
Getting ready, sleepy?
To Sharon.
Sure.
So, Mr. Garvey says, never lose your head. You may need your calm and collective judgment. So he's talking about. Sister Diane, your mute came off. We can hear your background, but this was something that Mr. Garvey had expressed in a previous lesson. I can't remember exactly which one, but he talked about making sure we're logical and rational more so than emotional. And this is reinforcing that we should, as diplomats, we must be calm and collective. We must be rational and making decisions from a rational and not an emotional standpoint. And I think that's the important takeaway here. We should never lose our head. We may need our calm and collective judgment to save our life, and that goes back to the previous question of if someone is going to kill you, um, even in that sense, we must always, we must build diplomacy into our muscle memory. I think is the best way I can say it, to where we don't have to think about it, but it becomes part of our characteristics as leaders. So calm, collected, um, rational judgment. Not emotional. We can't be emotional. We can't be overly emotional as diplomats. Obviously, we're not gonna go into that. Next question, number 9. We got 6 more questions. Why does Garvey say that morally a diplomat must be a scamp? So now we're getting into the moral. Let's see you, Dr. Kuda. We talked about the foundation of kindness. But now we're kind of going into the the other side of diplomacy. We mentioned must be a psychologist and a thinker. That's very general. But now Mr. Garvey's getting into a scamp, and I would argue that some of the negative, what could be considered negative characteristics of diplomacy. Anyone else other than Dr. Kuda? Dr. Kuda, what you got?
He is to anticipate the evil of other men's designs.
Yes.
The world and mankind are immoral and dishonest in their behavior. He must be a mental twister. He has to adopt such a method of safeguarding himself or his interests from such design.
Absolutely. Very, very, very extremely important point. And again, this is why I say this is kind of like, if this was Jedi training, this would be a lesson on the dark side. And this is where some people kind of get lost and go down a dark path. But in order to be a diplomat, Mr. Garvey says that we must be a scamp, and by that he means a mental twister. Basically, what Mr. Garvey's saying is what we read in lesson 6, titled "Christ," is rare. That behavior is not something that the majority of the world wishes to practice. So for us to truly be Christian in this world, as it's taught, or for us to be purely religious, from a love aspect as it's taught, would be naive, and the world would basically take advantage of us and run over us. So, Mr. Garvey is saying that in order for us to be a diplomat, we must be able to, as he said, adopt such a method to wait. Where is it? Word mankind. The world and mankind are immoral and dishonest in their behavior. We must adopt such a method to safeguard ourselves and our interests from such design. So we must understand that there are thieves in the world. So sometimes we must put ourselves in that mindset of what would a thief do? Where would a thief hide? If a thief were to steal something, where would they put it? That's a general example of how that applies, but that permeates throughout many of the characteristics of diplomacy. We're going to be dealing with unjust people, unrighteous people, and they want the best for either themselves or their people. And in dealing with certain characteristics, we must understand what their motivations are. So, any questions or comments on morally a diplomat must be a scamp for the purpose of anticipating the evil designs of others. So don't get lost in being a scamp, and don't say Mr. Garvey told me to be a scamp and that's why I'm being a scamp. No, this is, for us to understand the behaviors and the mentality of less than moral people. Okay. Number 10, what does Garvey say about truth and lying? And again, this is in regards to diplomacy. So don't just be running around lying for no reason, talking about you learn this from people. What does Mr. Garvey say about truth and lying? And again, this is specifically in regards to diplomacy.
Always tell the truth.
Always tell the truth. So if you are the leader of a military regimen and you are at the negotiating table with a differing nation, and they ask you how many troops, how many standing ready troops do you have? Do you tell them, you tell them the exact number?
Nope. No. Okay. Always tell the truth when you're dealing with your family, your brothers and sisters in your organization,
Yes, ma'am.
not other people.
Yes, ma'am. But now again, this is diplomacy. Diplomacy, as we said in the beginning, anybody remember how does Mr. Garvey describe diplomacy in the shortest way we can think of? I'm looking for at least three words that I'm looking for when we describe diplomacy. Four.
Character?
Oh, no.
Peculiar.
Yep. And that's one of the four. That's the fourth word. Peculiar. Attorney Imhotep, Counsel General helped us. And what else is it? Okay. See, this stuff we gotta get to the point where we can just spit this out. Peculiar relationship between nations. And Dr. Koot, I see you got your hand, so I know you had it ready. Peculiar relationship between nations. So, in regards to us being diplomats and representatives of our nation, negotiating with other nations, what does Mr. Garvey say about truth and lying? I know some of y'all know this, and I know y'all probably being modest and allowing others. So I respect that. Dr. Koot, I see you got it. Brother Art, I expect you to have it. Attorney Imhotep, I expect you to have it. Sister Diane, I expect you to have it as well. Does anyone else think that they know what Mr. Garvey says about truth and lying in regards to diplomacy? I have to stress that in regards to diplomacy. Again, some of this stuff is taken the wrong way, in my opinion. So I have to be clear. Brother Orman, you came off mute.
Okay, am I off on mute? Let me take a stab at that. Well, there's very little difference in a diplomatic situation. It's what is to your best advantage at that particular time in order for you to get your ideas over or take charge.
Very well said, Brother Orman. You've got some diplomatic training, I see. Anyone else able to help Brother Orman? Even anyone have the answer? Anybody? Dr. Kuda? See your attorney, Imhotep?
Yeah, if the truth is going to affect your cause, then never speak of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you've won your cause by a lot, then as early as possible, try to make the cause right.
Yes. So let me explain this a little bit in modern terms as best I can. Sometimes we will have to be dishonest in regards to diplomacy. Sometimes we will have to say that we have things that we don't. Make I don't want to say, well, threats, I guess is the best way of saying it. But what Mr. Garvey says is, again, we're diplomats and we're doing what's best for our people. So if there is a moral conflict in regards to your diplomacy and in regards to what you have to do to carry out diplomacy, he says, square that later at a later time. But when it comes to your people, if you have to lie in order to achieve the best results for your people, as diplomats, we must accept that responsibility. If we, and again, as I was saying, this goes back to us being too Christian or too upfront. Being the only person that's playing the game with our cards face up puts us at a disadvantage. So Mr. Garvey says, we must be realistic. We must understand that, nations and societies want what's best for their people. And these are the groups that we are negotiating with in order to prevent open warfare, open bloodshed. So we must, be diplomatic. We must sometimes make promises that we're not going to keep. But these are the things that we're doing for the benefit of our race in the long run. So it's not diplomacy, just like leadership, is not for everyone. And that's why, this is a special course for a special group of people. Questions, comments before we proceed?
Yeah. So one of the things, so you're saying that we shouldn't make, we should make promises, but necessarily not keep the promises?
First and foremost, I'm not saying anything, but we can go to the text and see what Mr. Garvey is saying. 1 second. Where's my? Gotta find my text. I had to reset my computer. Okay. Not what I want. Give me a moment to open my book again. So I don't see it here. And who has the page on where this answer can be found?
Page 78.
Okay, thank you. If you don't mind, Attorney Imhotep, could you read that section while I'm pulling it up on the book?
If the truth is going to affect your cause, then never speak of it, but go around it in every kind of ambiguous way to justify your lie to save the cause. If you have won your cause by a lie, then as early as possible try to make the cause right, but only after you have won. For no cause can continue successfully without righteousness of the things from all your imaginative experience.
And that was page
78.
78.
Third paragraph.
Yeah.
Okay, what does that have to do with keeping a promise? Now, telling the truth is one thing, but when you keep a promise and you tell your brothers and sisters that you're going to be there, or if you tell the people in the community that I'm going to be there, and I always like to be on time. If you give the promise that if you tell the brothers and sisters that we're going to do this or have whatever, you need to be right there, present, because you said it. And it goes back in the day when they say your word is your bond. Because if your word is no good, you are no good. And that goes with character.
Yes, Sister Desiree, this is diplomacy. This is not us speaking to our own community or in regard to the promises that we make within our community. That's a misunderstanding. Okay, we'll proceed. Make sure my share is correct. Share screen. So as Attorney Imhotep explained and what Mr. Garvey says in regards to diplomacy, if the truth is going to affect your cause, then never speak of it, but go around it in every kind of ambiguous way to justify your lie to save the cause. So again, this is not internal. This is not within the organization. This is not within our communities. In regards to our peer group communities, this is us as leaders negotiating with leaders of other organizations, other societies. Okay, question 11. In regards to our enemies, what should we profess and what should we give them? Diplomacy. In regards to our enemies, what should we profess and what should we give them?
Always profess friendship for your enemy.
Friendship is what we should profess. Yes. So, my good friend, for the presidential example, it could be Biden or Trump, whoever you dislike the most. But my good friend, Mr. Biden, or my good friend, Mr. Trump. It's diplomacy. I may hate your guts to the core, but in regards to public perception, when we're on the public stage, public platform, you will be perceived as a friend of mine. I will be perceived as a kind individual to you. That's what the world will see, no matter what my personal feelings are. So we must profess friendship to our enemies in regards to diplomacy. And does anybody remember what Mr. Garvey says that we should give them? We talked about kind words, but this is
Boric acid.
boric acid.
What about compliments?
Compliments, close. Small material, I would say.
Gifts that you can afford to lose.
Gifts that you can afford to lose. So very clear diplomacy. And I think the card example is probably one of the best examples, but we can't show our hand. We can't let them know how we feel about them, how disgusted we are with them as claiming to be human beings. But in the public, we must profess friendship, even privately, I would say, from a diplomacy standpoint. Even if you're just having a conversation on the phone and it's just you and that individual, you still want to give the sentiment of friendship. And in addition to those words, Mr. Garvey says, give them gifts that you can afford to lose. So nothing that'll break the bank or anything like that, but gifts that you can afford to lose at the end of the day. Mr. Garvey says it verbatim. Any questions or comments on our enemies, what we should profess and what we should give them, according to Mr. Garvey?
I just want to say, yeah, it sounds good written, but it's difficult to do. That's discipline and programming yourself like that.
Yes, ma'am. This is lesson 9. So there's 8 previous lessons that we should be working to master prior to trying to be experts in diplomacy. So you are correct. But again, this is not a general public or general population instruction. This is specifically for leadership, for diplomats, for representatives of the race.
The KKK comes to mind, Garvey reaching out diplomatically to them.
Excellent example, Attorney Motep. Excellent example.
That's interesting how you bring it up, because in the meeting that they just had, they were talking about, people was talking about Marcus Garvey because he met with the KKK. But if we look at our history, our ancestors always sat down and had conversations with their oppressors, with their opponents. They always did. Matter of fact, Haile Selassie did it. Mm-hmm. When he sat down and he talked to Mussolini.
Yes, Mr. Garvey saw, thank you again, Attorney Motep, for that. Mr. Garvey, to my understanding, he saw the KKK as the real leadership of the United States. So, he felt it was working with them working with the shot callers directly. And we should also understand, from a history standpoint, what was going on, the bloodshed that was taking place on both sides. So, there were the losses on the UNIA side. There were also losses on the KKK side. So, part of what Mr. Garvey was doing in that meeting was diplomacy. Again, what's best for our people collectively, and war and bloodshed is not a diplomatic approach. That's what happens when we're not diplomatic. And I think I got a quote from Fred Hampton in here. We understand that politics is nothing but war without bloodshed, and war is nothing but politics with bloodshed. So when we fail in diplomacy, that's when we get into open warfare. So in order for us to prevent these open fights, someone has to have a position of leadership. Someone has to be a representative that can speak on behalf of the population. So, thank you again. Okay. So 2 more questions, then we got our reading. Okay. 3 more questions. Sorry. Why should we avoid yes or no answers to important questions? And again, this is in regards to diplomacy. So we talked about double speak. This is, reinforcing a similar principle of the double speak. Why should we avoid yes or no answers to important questions?
so you can keep it open and have it balanced. That way you have enough time in case you have to, rearrange things.
Absolutely. Pretty much. Absolutely. Anyone want to add? Sister Desiree's pretty much spot on.
Well, to keep you from getting boxed in.
Yep. Boxed in. But again, knowing, the card example, telling them exactly, hey, I got an ace of spades, I got a jack of diamonds, a three of hearts. They don't need to know exactly what's going on and what we have. So, just saying, you always want to just give the impression that we are strong, we are capable, and we are, not a threat, but worthy of negotiation. That's all they really need to know. Leave in your remarks or words room for controversy or denial of the meaning. So again, I didn't say yes. I said I might do it, but I never said yes. We as a people would definitely do that. So leave room for interpretation in how we speak as diplomats. So again, when I talk about speak, that goes back to elocution. We have to master lesson 4 as we go out to be representatives of our society and or organization. Number 13, second to last, what should we offer men and or women if we want them to talk? What does Mr. Garvey say we should offer men and or women if we want them to talk?
Truth serum.
Truth serum? No, not truth serum.
Or alcohol. Hey.
Actually, yes. Alcohol was one of them. I need to get some water.
Food. Is food on there?
Yes. In essence. Yeah, it can be water. I mean, it can be water. It can be alcohol. It can be food. Mr. Garvey said it could be cigarettes. It could be the opposite sex itself. So for a woman, it could be a man. For a man, it could be a woman. Dr. Kuda, I see you got your hand up. If you would like to. Okay. Courtesy, find out their weakness and cater to that weakness. So whatever that weakness may be, we cater to that weakness in order to get them to talk and get the information that we want. Okay, last question. Ooh. Last question 14 is who should have access to valuable diplomacy papers and why?
I would say.
Can it be both?
But what do you mean? But who should have access to our valuable diplomacy papers?
I would say as few people as possible.
As few people as possible. Yes, yep. That's a diplomatic way of saying the right answer. Anyone else? Very straightforward. I think Ms. Garvey says no one, but As few as people as possible is no one except for yourself. Keep them secret and private because you don't know who may give you away even innocently. And that's where Mr. Garvey ended the lesson talking about the second person and the third person, and the third person always coming in through the second person. But in lesson one, we talked about keeping things private, specifically our library. And I would put this in that same sentiment. Our valuable diplomacy papers should. Can you all hear me? I saw my internet was unstable. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I would put this with our valuable diplomacy papers as part of our library. So it should be private, locked away, and no one should have access to it. Questions, comments on diplomacy? No questions, no comments on diplomacy. Everybody good on diplomacy? We ready to go to lesson 10? All right, all right. Again, if you don't remember anything else, I would say, as Mr. Garvey's sentiment on diplomacy, a word to express peculiar relationship between nations. That's one thing, peculiar relationship between nations. Associate that with diplomacy. And Fred Hampton, I like Fred Hampton's quote on politics. That's what happens when if we're not effective diplomats and we're not effective, quote unquote, politicians. We understand that politics is nothing but war without bloodshed, and war is nothing but politics with bloodshed. So we must do our best to avoid war and bloodshed by being effective diplomats. Okay. We'll get to our reading for tonight. Do we have a volunteer? Yep. Like Dr. Kuda, I see no one, not even your wife or husband, should have access to our private diplomatic papers. Maybe call those.
So what if there's a fire or something? So you don't have a second in command or something that knows how to get to the papers?
No. No. You lost it if it's a fire. It's lost. But it's better that it's lost to a fire than stolen and someone else has possession of it and you don't. Better it be destroyed than in someone else's possession. Y'all gonna make me go through this list, pull out a reader. Where my leaders at? Officers, vice presidents, need a reader. Come on, step up. Lady President has read. Brother Art has read.
I'll read.
Attorney Imhotep has read. Brother Orman has read before as well. Thank you, Brother Orman, for stepping up. And again, I'm not, I kind of do it jokingly a little bit, but it is serious. Everything that we're doing here is a test of our leadership. So being able to read is a test of our leadership. We have to be able to not only understand and interpret, but also articulate. So it's not only for us to digest information, but sometimes, and a lot of times, we will need to disseminate information. So whether it's reading, answering questions, all of those things are small components that we must develop for us to be, good, strong leaders of the UNIA. So we must always, as we come to these classes, we should always bring our text. We should be well prepared. We should read the lesson on our own throughout the week before. We should be, reviewing the questions and reviewing the lesson with the questions and trying to pull out, the answer to those questions, but also, are there any questions that aren't listed? Are there any things that Mr. Garvey is saying to us that he's speaking clearly to us that are not listed in any of the questions? So all of these things go into our ability to be good leaders and representatives of the UNIA. So thank you, Brother Art. And with that, I will hand the floor over to Brother Art to help us with lesson 10, economy.
Okay, I had trouble getting off mute.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, Brother Art. I'm sorry. I meant Brother Orman. Brother Orman had stepped up. My apologies.
Okay. Economy. There are several kinds of economy, but this subject deals specifically with financial economy. Economy is based upon good and sane judgment. The practice of it is that you must always be on the safe side of your bargains or your dealings. Never exhaust yourself, always have a reserve. There should always be something left over that you may fall back on in time of need. Money is the prop of life, in that it pays for all necessities and offers security for all opportunities. In earning money, one should never spend as much money as he earns. That is bad business. Whatever his earnings capacity, he should always be thrifty enough to save at least 15 to 20% of his income, storing it up for making better opportunities when they come, and provide for a rainy day. If you spend all you earn, you are on the edge of bankruptcy all the time. If you spend more than you earn, you are not only a fool, but you are a very dishonest person, and you are bound to suffer without any other chance. Therefore, always make it a policy to save money. Out of earnings, never mind how small it is. If you have better commercial ideas than your present job calls for and your present remunification warrants, then save out of your present earnings to take advantage of the opportunity to improve yourself within a reasonable time in achieving these ideas. Never engage yourself in living luxuriously when you can only live ordinarily. Ultimately, you are bound to fail and be the laughingstock of your friends in the community by not being able to keep up your luxurious standards of living on a limited purse. Never buy anything for more money than you have or positively expect to have within the time limited for the purchase. Never give away money that you cannot spare. Never give away anything of value that can be turned into money except you can spare it. Never borrow on interest from anybody if you can, within a reasonable time, pay your debts. If you pay your own debts with your own money, you will save the interest for yourself that you pay to others. The moment you start paying interest to others on money borrowed, you become a slave working for someone else. It is better to wait until you have the money yourself to do a thing before you borrow it to purchase that thing and pay interest on it. At the same time, you must use good judgment to find out whether it is to your advantage to seek an opportunity of doing something big with somebody else's money, even with interest to be paid. You must decide if that particular business will positively bring enough to meet the interest and give you sufficient profit to justify the risk you take in assuming the responsibility of paying interest to others may be of value. The moment you loan money on interest to do anything, the person loaning you the money must be credited as being wise enough to know beforehand if more money can be made out of the thing or investment than only the interest. If it is so, it is likely that he himself will go into that business and not give you the chance to go into into it with his money. He may be a friend and want to help you, but few money lenders are friends. They are lending for usury and have no souls. At least their souls are bad. So be careful in borrowing money to go into business. It is better you save and wait until you are able to go into business on your own account before you take the risk. It is bad business to go into any business without enough capital to run that business. 99 cases out of 100 will fail. Always consider costs before you go into anything, and in figuring out the cost, be sure that there is a margin of profit before you do the thing. Otherwise, it is not worthwhile doing. If you're going to address a meeting 100 miles away, first count the cost of railroad fare or transportation to and from, the cost of the meeting, your living expenses while going and staying at the meeting and returning from that meeting, the percentage to pay those who are looking after the meeting, and the prospect of getting a crowd large enough that will meet all those expenses and leave you with a profit of at least 25%. If there is no profit in it, you're not taking a risk. When you are finished, you will be sorry you went.
Thank you, Brother Orman. 1 second. Sister Aquette, I saw you raise your hand.
Yeah, so let me ask the question, make sure I'm reading this right. So anytime that we are doing something, we have to make sure whatever we're doing that we're making a profit.
Yes.
When we are, well, not anything, but when we are having events, profitable programs intended for profit, then yes. If we're having a charitable program, that's different. But if we're having a profitable program, there should be profit.
Otherwise, don't undertake it.
Yes, absolutely.
So to speak.
And a lot of times we get into, we say we're doing a profitable program, but it ends up being a charitable program. But if we do that too often, with as in have unprofitable programs, we won't have a foundation, an economic foundation. So we have an obligation as leaders to be profitable. But a lot of this that we're talking about thus far is can be applied personally.
Yes.
Sister Quet, can maybe proceed? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, sounds good to me. All this sounds good to me.
Thank you, sister. Brother Orman, you have
Always work out beforehand the possible financial results of every transaction and be sure that your arrangements are of such as to bring profit at the end. Otherwise, you are wasting your time. As far as the UNIA is concerned, you should always calculate for profit for the association in everything you do. Profit comes in many ways to the association. For example, if you go to address a meeting 100 miles away, profit will come by new members joining the association. The establishment of agencies there for the association, leaving behind the sentiments of the association may be an advantage to any money you receive for the expense of that meeting. I kind of got that a little around. But anyway, as long as you have converted and attached someone permanently to the UNI, that may be considered as profit. Always seek to get some profit. Otherwise, your work is a failure. When your work is to be judged, you will find that a balance sheet of how much you have received and how much you have disbursed as a representative of the association, and how much net you have turned into the movement, how much morally you have helped the movement, will be called for. If your balance sheet shows that for 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year, you have not added anything net to the association, your importance your importance in it is nil. You will not account for much. Your status will be far below that of others who have been more valuable to the movement. A president or representative who can show that for the year he or she turned over 500, 1,000, or 10,000 net to the association occupies a position of eminence that calls for the greatest recognition of service rendered. Another president or representative may occupy no such position of recognition because of his failure.
Brother Orman, thank you, Brother Orman. We're going to proceed. I got to clarify. Yes, what I said previously was incorrect. We are always seeking the profit in all of our programs. What I meant to say was, as Mr. Garvey said, the profit is not always financial. Sometimes that profit is moral. So even our charitable programs, we are seeking moral profit from those programs, and to get the sentiment and encouragement of the community. That would be considered a profit as well. Thank Brother Orman. Apologies.
Men and women are promoted on their record. Their record must be profitable. If their record is that of failure, they remain failures until they can prove otherwise. There is no other standard by which you can judge the ability of a man. Always seek to get substantial value for their work, because you will never be able to recall them as they move along. Whenever you want to sell anything, unless you meet somebody who is barely in need of that thing, you are always going to be offered less than the value of the thing. So never buy anything for its full value, otherwise you will have it at a loss. It is better to buy things for cash or on short term rather than on long term. A long-term purchase carries a greater percentage of interest on the purchase. Something that you purchase on term can be bought almost half the price if bought for cash, because people are also anxious to sell for cash, even though they make a sacrifice of the thing, because they want the cash. When you buy on terms, you must bear the burden, not the seller. When you buy for cash, the seller bears a burden in the loss to get cash. Always have cash, and bargains will always show up. True. If you have no cash, when you see bargains and want them, you pay twice the price for them when you buy them on terms. Never live above your income. Never live up to your income. Never assume responsibility when you are not prepared for it. It will burden you down. Never marry broke. Never marry before you are ready. Never allow anybody to force you to do anything against your will. If you can see a thing and get good results from it at a cheaper price, don't pay a dearer price except you have money to throw away. Don't lose your head in thinking that something is going to run away. Therefore, you must grab it now. Following that attitude, you may find yourself to be a big fool, because what you grab here, thinking that is a wonder, you may find thrown away next door, not worth anything. Always look around first. When you are in doubt, try to find the duplicate. You may come back to the first, but if a thing is in the neighborhood with one person, it is also likely that a similar thing is also in the same neighborhood. Search the neighborhood first before you decide to lay all your money on one thing. Never think that one thing or that one person is the only preach in town. There may be better peaches on the tree. Try to curb your weakness for being a spendthrift. Every time you are tempted to spend 10 cents or $1 on a frivolous thing that you will not get any direct profit or return from, hold your hand. Count 10 before you do the thing. You say to yourself, have I any other pressing need for the use of this money better than this frivolous thing? There is always something else that you really need. Therefore, you will keep the money in your pocket. Never give your money away outside your race. If you are called upon to give it to God, ask yourself if God is really going to get it. Only when you feel that it is going into the channel that God will really appreciate himself should you give it, because God himself doesn't want money, but a good cause is his name may need it. But a good cause in his name may need it, and you should first find out if there is really a cause. To send a man touring around the world in the name of God for his own pleasure is not giving to God. To give a man more worldly goods than he has already is not giving to God. To give to help carry on social service work in the community, or to help the poor of the community, or to rescue children of the community is giving to God. If you have to be critical in giving to God, be even more so when you give to man. It must be for a good cause, and the nearest cause to you is the cause of your own race. Never fail to give charity where charity is needed within your own race, but don't allow yourself to be tricked. If an old thing is good, don't buy a new one. Don't follow fashion for fashion's sake. Follow your own judgment for intelligence' sake. If nothing is wrong with your suit of clothes, don't buy a new one because someone else has done so. All it may need is attention, and so with everything. You may badly need the money later on that you may spend on a new suit. It is better to have the money than the thing, because when trouble comes, you can run with your money, but you may not be able to carry all your things. The largest sum of money can be carried in your pocketbook, while the weight of your other things may cause you to wait for the next train, and by waiting, you may lose. Put your valuables more in money than in things. Only have these things that are necessary. If you have the ambition to do better than you are, and you don't have the means to immediately do so, then practice rigid thrift in your present position by saving as much as you can, so that in a given period of time, you will be able to change your position to reach your objective. Never consume all you have and then expect to climb higher. It cannot be done. Never go into anything in business that you know nothing about. No fool can make a success of anything. Therefore, know your business before you go into it to make a profit out of it. Never live on capital of your business. You must live on the profit. Good message. If you start to live on capital, there will soon be no capital and no business. If you mean to stay in that business, whatever the profit is, live only on that profit and not on all that profit. Otherwise, the time may come when you have to live on the capital because you made no profit for that period. Business is only successful when you are making profit and not spending all the profit. Whenever an enemy or any person attempts to create prejudice against your organization with government, take immediate steps to counteract the statement and reassure the government that you have no intention of doing anything not in keeping with the law. Always watch for this, because the government can easily outlaw your organization and curtail or prevent your activities. Therefore, don't join any movement that the government is not favorably inclined to tolerate. Chiefly, communism. Let the communists fight their own battles. Let the other people carry on their own discord. Have nothing to do with them. The more they carry on discord and you keep away from it, the better it will be for you, because by keeping your head, you will be able to see more clearly and get an advantage. Never let the government put you on the defensive. It will create a prejudice against you. Keep out of court as much as you can. If possible, never go there except to do social service work to help others. Try to never be charged with a crime or be on trial. It will affect the association and affect you. Always try first to settle racial disputes without going to the law. Law is expensive and uncertain. When you go to the law, too often you establish a bad record. And when anybody wants to know anything about you, particularly the government officials, they can search the records, the court records. Keep away as a defendant. Encourage the people to keep away and not waste their money in litigation. If their litigation can be settled by you or any responsible representative of the race, the people pay too many fines in court. The money they pay for fines could be used for their families and their own benefits. Always counsel Negroes not to be anxious to start litigation or to prosecute each other if it can be avoided. Going to court too often gives the race a bad name and causes the government to think badly of the race. Always try to impress the government that you are a law-abiding citizen so that when you make a request of the government, it may respect that request. Always keep your good work before the government and make the government aware of it, particularly social service work, charitable work, and educational work. This does not mean racial education. This does not mean racial education. Your racial education is private, like the Jews. Make the government aware of all public education tending towards good citizenship. It should prominently be brought to the attention of the government. Okay, man.
Thank you, Brother Orman. That completes lesson 10. Brother Amazing, I just saw your message. My apologies. But that completes lesson 10, titled Economy. We'll, again, do an in-depth breakdown on that lesson next week. But perfect lesson to start the year. All officers, members as well, should, make sure we pay our dues for the year. And some of these, these practices specifically, I can say from personal experience have allowed me to be able to pay my dues yearly. Small things such as having a savings, minding how we're spending, not wasting money on frivolous things like that. Those are fundamental small things that'll get us where we're trying to be. At the end of the day, when you really look at membership in the UNIA, active membership in the UNIA, I've explained, this year I'm explaining it to people that one of our goals that we're trying, or a goal that I can say we're trying to get people to achieve, is to it's two ways, it's different ways to think about it, but in essence, increase your disposable income by $50 a year. So increase, or however that may be, saving $50 a year, making another $50 a year, sacrificing something that's worth $50 a year, but increasing your disposable income by $50 a year. If you can do that, you can pay your $46 dues and be an active member in the UNIA. And with these practices, these principles that Mr. Garvey gives us in economy, saving 15, 20%, other things that we already talked about, beyond the organizational initiatives, these can keep us financially stable. So I don't have anything else. If anybody has any closing questions or comments.
Yeah, I want to know how much are the dues?
Dues.
Because that's something they didn't go over in DC. I just donated and did what I did. But how much are the dues? I'm sure I'm paid up. How much are the dues?
Dues are $46 a year.
$46 a year. I know I'm paid up, and you can get that from President Sister in New York. So my dues is paid up.
Sounds good. That's what we all want to be able to say. If we can knock out our dues in January, that puts the organization in a very strong financial position, and gives the organization more options. At the very least, we want to be able to pay our dues monthly. But if 1,000 of us can bring $50 in January, that's $50,000. That gives the organization a lot of options of what they can do, rather than bringing in like $10,000 a month for 5 months. If that makes sense, Brother Orman.
Yes. Have you worked? I know one of the last meetings that we had, you were working out a simplified way to pay your dues. Has that been worked out? Is it Zelle?
Yeah, we're still working on the Zelle. We're still working on Zelle. We may have to got to contact the bank, Citizens Trust, but we are working on that. We should have that available sometime soon. We know that'll help.
Okay, so how is it? Is it possible now to pay the dues? Is there a method? There is a method, right?
Yeah, we have. I mean, PayPal and Cashapp are
Well, maybe.
active methods that we have but we're working on the Zelle for the third option.
What's the PayPal?
Great question.
PayPal, don't even mess with PayPal. Cash App, that's getting ready to go down the drain. Zelle is very easy because that's at a bank. You know, they have it at a bank. You know.
I know I have Zelle, but Brother John is trying to give me the information.
So Zelle should be easy. That should be, you know, as smart, as intelligent as all of you guys are here in the UNIA. I know you know how to get Zelle.
I have Zelle. Now, what is the phone number for? I think the issue at that time was whether you were going to put up your phone number, Brother John.
Yeah, it's the phone. We don't have a phone attached to the account. That's
okay.
That's the
okay.
issue.
So there's no way to do Zelle at the present time.
No. We've tried to do it through the email, but for some reason, those payments keep getting canceled.
Okay. Did Dr. Kuda get through? I think she got through last week. Did she get through?
No, Dr. Kuda.
I was actually on my phone right now trying to do it, but because the last time I put the correct email, but the name, like I had Atlanta Division 421 instead of UNIA Division 421. So I put the right name and I tried to enter all the information. So the Zelle is telling me you already have a contact with this email address because the email was correct. Atlanta Division 421 at cbpm.org. So it's not going through because it's telling me there is already a contact with that email. So if we get the cell number, maybe it will pick it up with the new cell number. I also tried to put President John's cell number. I know you didn't want your number to be used, but I tried to put just to see if it was going to go through, but it's telling me I already have a contact with that email. So the 46 was pending. It was showing red as if it has gone out, and it was showing blue as if money has come in as well.
Well, that's a work in progress then, right, Brother John?
Yeah, just give us a couple of weeks to get that cleared up.
Okay, as soon as you do, we're waiting.
Understand. Any other questions other than Zelle?
You know, and then another thing about Zelle is safer, especially safer than Cash App. All that stuff is safer.
Absolutely. And cheaper.
And cheaper.
True.
And it's legal. You know, it's so easy. You know, and like I said, every major financial institution has Zelle. And they do. It's not something that you get an app or nothing like that. You do this at the bank.
Yes, but some people might not. Some people might not have a bank account, so that might be a problem for some people, even though it's an easier way. But
yeah, we want to have all options available, and Zelle should be an option that we have available.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't prepared to close if there aren't any other comments or concerns. Okay. Brother Macy's dropped off. Brother Macy's, would you please close us out, please?
Put your right fist in the air, repeat after me. Place the flag on the screen if you have to. One God.
One God.
One aim.
One aim.
One aim.
One destiny.
One destiny.
One destiny.
Africa for the Africans.
Africa for the
Africans.
Those at home.
Those at
Those at
home.
home.
And those abroad.
Those abroad.
Race first, family.
Race
first. Black power.
Up, you mighty race, you can accomplish what you will. Speak it to existence.
Up, you mighty race, you can
Up, you
accomplish
mighty
what you
race, you
will.
can accomplish what you will.